All right. See if I. We're just gonna do this from the start. Okay. Welcome back to Racing in the Draft. It's way too early in the morning. I'm screwing this up left and right. I forgot to hit go live on the YouTube side of things this time. No sound last night. Not knowing what the heck I'm doing this morning. I need more caffeine. I need to not do this at 7 in the morning. I need to not screw it up from last night. But either way, welcome to Austin, Texas for the Eco Park Automotive Grand Prix Circuit of America. Gotta love live video. Um, I used to not do these things live. I used to do them on record, and I used to go through and edit. It was just a big waste of time. So I just decided to do live. And since that, um, all right, it says live. All right, good. Um, yeah, editing it was a pain in the butt. But the problem is if you go live and you've got to screw up somewhere, it may or may not work. So either way, welcome back. Round 2.2. Um, let's go back to Bristol from last week with Tiregate 2024. Um, at Bristol, I think it was a lucky mistake that the resin and Goodyear tire um, pretty much disintegrated after 40 laps. Or, I mean, they went through the rubber really, really quick. I think it was a little too fast. I think 40 laps was not enough of a tire run. And it was, once it fell off, it was drastic. It was, ended up putting on an okay show. I would much rather have seen a tire that lasted 60 laps, and then you had kind of 10 laps of do I have to pit? Should I pit? If I don't pit, type of thing. And, speeds slowed way up. I think that probably would have put on just as good of a show and would have created the almost chaos that we saw. And there was chaos. It was pretty crazy if you've seen some of the onboard camera footage from like Kyle Larson's car after he got fresh tires and everybody else did not have fresh tires. It was like he was literally passing people in a parking lot. It was crazy. Um, but either way, let's take a look at our optimal lineups from Bristol last week. Um, as expected, we definitely needed to have one dominator and almost a second dominator. Uh, Denny Hamlin definitely was that dominator driver. Ty Gibbs was right there with him, though, leading 137, and Denny Hamlin leading 163. So good on the Joe Gibbs boys, and good for Ty Gibbs for having a good, solid run. Martin Truex Jr., also out of the Joe Gibbs Racing, led 54 laps. So the Toyotas definitely kind of figured things out, and mostly Joe Gibbs Racing really figured out the tire issue. And I mean, Denny Hamlin is always pretty good there. Truex Jr. has never won there, but typically has good runs, and he ended up getting a third place finish. Ross Chastain, huge place differential mover from 36th to 15th. Kind of had that one pretty much chalked in automatically into the optimal lineup. So that one was a pretty easy pick. Alex Bowman from 29th and John Hunter Nemechek from 26th, also in that Toyota. So 4 Toyotas and 2 Chevys. Bad news for Ford. I think we may see the same type of thing again this week at COTA. So hold on, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride, I think, for Ford this weekend. But you never know until we get into the race and find out what kind of happens. So our optimal lineup challenge for after 5 races, Ross Chastain and Ty Gibbs at the top of the chart with 3 out of 5 races. They are already starting season outright. Bubba Wallace, Noah Gragson, Tyler Reddick, and Martin Truex Jr. also with 2, and a whole host of others with 1 time in the optimal lineup. Hopefully you ended up having a good weekend last weekend. Mine turned out to be pretty well. I was missing 1 or 2 drivers from the optimal lineup in my bulk picks, but they ended up, Kyle Larson showed up down here in drivers. Not quite in the optimal lineup, but still had pretty good days. Kaz Grala and Justin Haley, good on them for having good runs. I think the tire wear debacle issue mistake ended up really kind of playing into their hands, which was really kind of cool to see. Glad to see it. Um, but either way, that was Bristol. We are now headed to our first road course of the season at COTA at right outside of Austin, Texas. Weather looks to be, as they call it, Chamber of Commerce type of a day. A little breezy, but in the mid to low 70s. Um, Decent humidity, not too dry. So no rain in the forecast for this weekend at COTA. Yesterday, we ended up seeing a great race with the Xfinity and Truck Series, and I'm expecting some of the same today. As we head to Austin, this track is a road course type. It is 3.426 miles in length. There are a whopping 20 turns for this race. The race length is much shorter than last week, at least in the way of laps. We only have 68, which leads to not needing really to focus on dominator points. I mean, sure, they play a portion of it, but I mean, if you lead a lap, you get a quarter of a point. So you'd have to lead a lot of laps, 68 of them, just to even get to like, what is that? 10 points. So, I mean, if you lead them all, it's 17 points. And you're probably not going to lead them all because there's going to be differing strategies with the stage breaks. And then fast laps, there's only 30 points. So, yes, dominator points do end up making a difference, but if you start like Joe Logano, I think is starting 35th, if he literally gets up to 15th, that's 20 points. So there's as much of a value for picking somebody that's going to come from the back of the pack towards the front, and he doesn't even have to get into the top 10. So, we focus much more on finishing position is probably the most optimal part of this lineup, along with place differential, and then if there's some fast laps and things like that. So, other road courses that we compare to, other than Circuits of the America, is Sonoma with only 12 turns, Watkins Glen with only 11 turns, and we don't currently go to Road America, but we have been at Road America for the past few years, so we can also go back and look at that data from Road America. You can pull in the Indy Road Course and the Charlotte Roval, and the Chicago Street Course because they turn right and left, but realistically, we are much more focused on the actual true road course tracks because they have elevation changes. They are set up and run strictly as a road course. So those are the ones that we kind of focus in on a little bit more. Our optimal lineups from previous COTAs. Last year, as you can see, finishing position or place differential were the two major factors. I mean, Tyler Reddick starting in second, leading 41 laps and finishing first. Kind of got two of those. He got finishing position and laps led as kind of his big points. And as you can see, he only got 62.1 points, where Denny Hamlin led 150 some odd laps at Bristol last week and finished in first and got 109 points. So when you look at the different scales and how we try to judge what we should be putting in our lineups and not putting in our lineups, it's really finishing positions and place differential, because Todd Gillen started 36th last year at COTA, finished in 10th, 26 spots of place differential, 26 points, and still ends up with, I mean, just a little shy of Tyler Reddick's 62 points. So you can see where place differential ends up playing a very big factor. Chris Buescher, same thing. But Kyle Busch, started in ninth, finished second, and was in the optimal lineup at 50 points. So the same thing happened at COTA in 2022. We had, it's mostly finishing positions. We had a lot of people who made up some place differentials that gave them some extra points, but, first, third, eighth, ninth, 11th, and 13th, So we're really looking at focusing in on who do we think is going to be in the top 10, hopefully the top five. And, if they get a few dominator points or place differential, it's also important. So, and we can see the same type of thing at most of these road courses because of the shorter lap counts and the fast laps kind of being spread through the field, diminishing the total return for dominator type races. We still look at them, they still matter, but they don't matter as much. All right. So the other thing I started looking at this year is the where do people start and how many DraftKings points do they end up getting, and where's the kind of sweet spot for different style tracks? Well, if we look at the road courses from last year, Sonoma, COTA, Watkins Glen, Roval, as we can see, the average is 4.8, or almost five drivers out of the top 15 point getters started between 11th and 20th. So that kind of shows, a little bit of finishing position, place differential. You were decent in practice, decent in qualifying. You may not have started up front, but the bulk of the points really came from the starting spots of 11th through 20th. So that's kind of something we need to focus in on. But if we also look at who started in the top 10 or even the top five, it really comes up to about 5 or 6. So realistically, 12 of the top 15 point getters start 20th or better on these road courses. So kind of keep that in mind when you're building your lineups. We do have a lot of guys, almost all in forwards, that are starting shotgun or the very back of the field. And there's some guys that are surprising. I mean, they're not typically great road course racers, but they're not 35th through 39th type of drivers. Joey Logano is one of them, starting 35th. He's a two-time champion. He's not known for his road course per se, but he is better than 35th. I mean, currently right now he's like 30th in points, so I guess there could be an argument there. So, guys that we're going to kind of target that are starting in the top 5 or top 10, Christopher Bell is pretty good on road courses. William Byron is extremely good on road courses. Truex Jr., Ross Chastain. I mean, the cream rises to the top at these road courses. The guys that are really good on them typically end up qualifying pretty well. Kind of ones that we should be a little wary of in the top 10. Denny Hamlin's not great at road courses. He's not bad, but his finishing positions typically are not great. Bubba Wallace has gotten much better. He's still got some room to go, and he just needs to learn to finish off these road courses. Once he gets that figured out, Bubba Wallace is going to be somebody that we can definitely start talking about more and more at road courses. And Corey LaJoie, I mean, kind of the same thing. He ends up practicing pretty well, kind of qualifies well, is there parts of the race, and then kind of tails off towards the end. So I'm not really targeting Bubba Wallace, Corey LaJoie, or potentially Denny Hamlin for this race. But once we get into the 11th through 20th starting spots, I mean, Kyle Larson, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Suarez. I mean, these are winners of road courses. Typically, somebody that they run pretty well at road courses. I mean, AJ Allmendinger is the road course ringer, as they call it. Even though we've got a handful of guys, more than a handful of guys, that we can call road course ringers now. We've got Kamui Kabayashi from Japan coming in racing for 23XI, who has raced in F1 and other forms of road course racing. Shane Van Gisbergen. I mean, John Hunter Nemechek's been pretty good. Kaz is actually pretty good on road courses. And, when we look at the 30 or worse, we've got Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, both past champions that are starting 35th and 36th. Zane Smith back here in 34th, has won at COTA in the Truck Series. So there's some guys that are starting in the back. Now, be a little cautious. They are running forwards. Fords really struggled, at least in practice and qualifying. So, all right, let's get into the driver-by-driver breakdown. We will break down this page more in depth, and then kind of go through a more general overview of each driver as we get to them. I know it's really early in the morning. If you happen to be watching, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And sorry for take two. Hopefully, you didn't spend too much time on the other one. Now, all the information was on the screen. I just happened to be dictating it and talking about my opinions. So the raw information on the other video is still there. I'll probably delete it after this video is done. So, Tyler Reddick, 10,500, starting in the third position. So this is his DraftKings price. And then his starting spot where he ended up qualifying. Then we have his practice speeds. So he was 12th in single lap speed. So he did a total of 11 laps, and out of those 11 laps, his fastest lap was 12th compared to everyone else. Now, at road courses, because they are so much longer, it takes 2 minutes and 10 seconds, give or take, to get around COTA. And with that being said, when you have a 20-minute practice session, you're not going to get a 10-lap run in. It's just, time-wise, almost impossible. And if you're going to come in and do any corrections or anything like that, you just don't ever get to 10 laps. So we look at the 5 laps, and even Tyler Reddick still didn't even get to 5 laps. We did have about 26 drivers who did make 5-lap consecutive runs. That's them going out, running for 5 laps without coming into the pit stop. So we can get an average lap speed at that point. Tyler Reddick did not reach that point. Then we look at the 5 races that we're comparing to, which are the last 2 circuits of the Americas races, 2023, 2022. Last year's Roval, which was the last road course style track we ran in the 2023 season. We're also looking at Watkins Glen and Sonoma because they are more true road courses other than like the Chicago street course or the Indy Roval-esque type course. So that's where we're comparing to when I'm talking about the 5 races here. And Tyler Reddick has 1 win, which was the COTA race from last year. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 27.1 DraftKings average, and a 10th place average finish. Like I said, he finished first in this race last year. Then we look at his total body of work at all road courses, street courses, rovals, whatever they turn right and left. We have his full history here, which is total of 20 starts. He's got 3 wins, 5 top 5s, 13 top 10s, 15 top 20s, and he averages a 12.6 average finish. So either way, Tyler Reddick is actually very, very good at road courses. He did have an interview yesterday about his road course, how he became much better at road courses, and he just kind of took it on his own. And COTA was the kind of the spot that he went to get a lot of time in the seat and really get some instruction from other road course experts. Maybe not in the field of NASCAR, but just guys that run road courses as their main form of racing. And he learned a lot, and it's really starting to show that, practice and experience really starting to pay off. And Tyler Reddick is definitely one of those guys. If we look at the rank, so up here in the top right corner, we have Tyler Reddick's rank, which is 9th. Now, this comes from the last 10 road courses, the last 5 that we're comparing to, the trend, which is the last 10 races that they've raced, practice speeds, qualifying speeds, and those types of things all kind of get filtered in. Do I think they'll have potentially be dominators? Do I think they have the potential to be place differential, their past experiences, and those types of things? And all of that being said gets spit out, and Tyler Reddick ranks 9th with all that. You would think, okay, he's won before, he's top 10s in the last 5 races is pretty good. Practice speeds were okay. I could see the argument of this being a little bit higher, but when I calculate everything in and I put point values to everything, the point value total is like 1,800 points. Well, from 1st to 10th, the separation is probably like 30 points. So it's very, very minute for the top 10. Once you get kind of past the top 10, the the spread of numbers really starts to spread out a little bit, and of course, the cream rises to the top when we get to road courses. Tyler Reddick's in that grouping. He just happens to be ninth, and part of that is the place differential piece of it. If Tyler Reddick were starting 10th and had all this, his rank would probably be second or third. But I have 25% usage. I think Tyler Reddick has the speed and experience to easily go and lead some laps and be there at the end. He's proven that that he has top 10 speed. So that was our full breakdown. Next in line here is Chase Elliott at 10,300. Sorry about that. Trying to get a little caffeine in. Chase Elliott 10,300, starting in the ninth position. Practice speeds were not great. He ended up qualifying a little bit better than his practice speeds, which okay. You pump the air pressures up and go out and maybe try a little harder, and you're not trying to see what your car is going to do in a long run. And Tyler Reddick is very, very good as a road course racer. The thing is, a lot of people have caught up to Chase Elliott type speed. And I still think there's a little something that's holding Chase Elliott back. And not that the interview was bad that he had with Dale Earnhardt Jr., in my opinion, was a little telling. And I always scratch my head on why Chase Elliott is the most popular driver in NASCAR. It's not like he's got a big, it's not like he's noisy, especially like social media and interviews. He typically doesn't like to do even interviews at the track. And if you do see an interview with him, he's kind of like, "Oh, my car was okay, and I just went out and raced it." And he's not that flashy on the track. He's not a Denny Hamlin. He's not a Ross Chastain. He's not a Kyle Larson. And even Kyle Larson's sometimes a little bland in his interviews. So I've never understood the whole Chase Elliott thing. I mean, even when Dale Jr. was getting all the most popular drivers, Dale Jr. even in his interviews was kind of like, "Can we get a little bit of life?" And all of a sudden he retired, and he figured out his passion, and he's really good at broadcasting and interviews and conducting interviews and doing all that. So I scratched my head with the Chase Elliott most popular driver thing. I mean, other than his dad was Bill Elliott, who was the most popular driver for, I don't know, 100 years. It just kind of seemed to be the next thing. Either way, let's get back to what we're actually here for, and not for my rambling. I mean, Chase Elliott is very good on road courses. There are other guys who are also as good, potentially even better than Chase Elliott at this point on road courses. So I don't mind the Chase Elliott play. I think it's kind of, we're looking for guys that are going to start in the top 10, finish in the top 10. Chase Elliott kind of plays that. Do I think Chase Elliott's going to go out and lead a bunch of laps? Maybe. He's got the talent level too. The question is, he's got to pass a lot of really good guys to get there. And his practice speeds were not quite there. So I don't have as much usage as probably the rest of the field's going to have. So I'm a little bit of a fade with Chase Elliott. I mean, his average finish is 8.7 out of 29 total starts. I mean, half the time he's finishing in the top 5. So historically, his stats are really, really good. It's more of what have you done for me lately? And with his injury and, I mean, maybe he gets there. I could be easily proven wrong. This is probably one of the best opportunities we've seen since, maybe the Roval, but last year, really kind of after he got injured, really kind of put a damper on the season. So somewhere Chase Elliott's going to make a rebound and get that win. So maybe this weekend is it. I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in that. There's just other guys that are much faster at this track now. And one of them's Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's practice speeds are much better than Chase Elliott's. Now, his starting spot, he missed a little bit, starting 15th. Price tag is $10,200. I mean, these are expensive drivers for road courses. Even though we had a little bit heavier prices last week. There's room to put two or three of these guys in your lineup and still get some value uh, towards the back end in the cheaper price range. But Kyle Larson, it did end up having one of the fastest cars in practice on a long run. He also won the Xfinity race yesterday. Came from the back to the front, went to the back, came back to the front, ended up with pitting with like 6 laps to go. They luckily had some cautions, and Kyle Larson was able to work his way back through the field again and getting the win in the Xfinity race. So good on Kyle Larson, but definitely shows good speed. Now, his averages are not as good as everyone else's, and it's kind of feast or famine with Kyle Larson. It's kind of feast or famine with Kyle Larson most weekends. If he's good, he's really good. If it's bad, it's really bad. What are we going to get this weekend? I mean, he's showing really good speed so far in practice and in the Xfinity race. Now, does that translate over and transfer over? Sure. Anytime you can get more laps turning left and right at a particular track, always helps the cause. Now, Kyle Larson also has the win. So Kyle Larson has the ability to do different things with pit strategy to potentially get track position and be there towards the end for the win. So with that being said, I do like the Kyle Larson play. Starting 15th, we've got place differential points to be given. So I mean the same thing next here with Christopher Bell at $10,000. Practice speeds were really good driving the Toyota. Joe Gibbs Racing seems to be very quick again this weekend. $10,000 starting 4th. Practice speeds were right there also, 5th and 5th on 5-lap consecutive average. The tracks that we look at for the 5, he's got a 13.6 average finish. He's got 2 wins out of his 20 total starts on road courses. I mean, Christopher Bell's not typically known as a road course racer. He's more of a dirt racer. But, I mean, you go dirt racing, you're turning right as much as you're turning left. So, yeah, they're only going left in circles, but once you get the car kind of yawed out, you've got to put some right wheel back into it to keep it going straight. So, these guys, the dirt racers end up doing pretty well on road courses. All right. So, Christopher Bell does rank 2nd. I mean, great practice speeds, great starting spot. He runs road courses pretty well. Driving the Toyota, Joe Gibbs seems to be on top of their game right now. I've got 25 to 30% ownership in Christopher Bell. I think he is easily somebody that can be there towards the end of this thing. But there's always craziness happens at COTA. So either monsoons or huge stack-ups or people putting other drivers off the track. It's always a fun race when we come to COTA. Martin Truex Jr. here next in line, another road course guy. He's got 5 wins out of his 48 total starts. So Martin Truex Jr. definitely knows how to get a win at a road course. He's got an 11.2 average finish over the 5 races that we're comparing to. He's never won here. He's never really run particularly well at COTA. Sonoma is kind of more of his expertise. But the crazy thing is Sonoma is a very technical road course. And what I mean by technical, it's a lot of different style turns, very close racing, lots of transitions, lots of elevation changes. So technically, it's a much tougher course. And COTA is very technical, like Sonoma is. So with that being said, I would expect Martin Truex Jr. to actually run a little bit better than he has in the past. I think he's just had some bad luck. So I expect Martin Truex Jr. to have a decent day today. Does he go up and 5 for the win? Sure, possibly. Do I think he's a pretty good spot to be in the top 10 as long as everything kind of plays out the way it should? Sure. I like that for Martin Truex Jr. I've got 20 to 25% ownership in Martin this week. And he's still kind of hunting for that first win. This might be the weekend Martin Truex Jr. gets it. William Byron, the fastest cat on the track this weekend, at least when he came to practice. He did not do a 5-lap consecutive average, but was definitely first in single lap speed and backed it up in qualifying. Starting from the pole, If we look at his recent 5 race history that we're looking at, he's definitely there. He's got a win in the last 5 races, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 7.6 average finish. Finished 5th in this race last year. So William Byron has really honed in his road racing experience and is starting to show. Kind of like Tyler Reddick. I mean, William Byron is definitely right there as one of the top road course racers in this in this series. So definitely don't mind William Byron starting from the pole position. And as we saw in the chart that I had from top 15 in points, starting pole or outside pole is not awful. Um, you know, if it's somebody that I don't think has a potential to be there at the end, kind of like Corey LaJoy. I don't like Corey LaJoy's starting spot this week. Because he's just not that consistent of a road course racer, and I think he's going to fall outside the top 10. So not going to have a lot of ownership with Corey LaJoy. But we're talking about William Byron, starting from the pole, was fastest in practice, has shown great speed at road courses recently. I've got 20-25% usage in him. Shane Van Gisbergen. That's how you pronounce it. I don't know. SVG, as we like to call it. $9,500 starting from the 12th position. Was pretty good in practice. He was 10th in single lap speed. Did not do a 5-lap average. He's got a total of 2 starts in the Cup Series last year with a 5.5 average finish. Finished 1st and 11th. He did the Indy Road Course, I think is what it was last year. And just missed a little bit on that, but definitely had a great day in Chicago, which pretty much got him this ride in the States. He is from New Zealand, Australia, road course racing, and is trying his luck at mostly ovals with some road courses. He ran really, really well in the Xfinity Series race, finished 2nd, then got a 30-second penalty for a track violation. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen definitely has top 10 speed, probably top 5 speed. Is definitely a road course ringer expert. So I expect him to probably move up as long, bar some weird happenings on the track with track violations and or whatever, shortcutting the track and getting a drive-through or 30-second penalty. Shane Van Gisbergen should be there at the end. Definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I've got 15-20% usage. His total body of work as a road course racer is very, very good. He's a champion of when he was in Australia. This is a little different series, though. Even though they're full-bodied race cars there, they're full-bodied race cars here. They beat, they bang. They'll push people out of the way. So, our sample size just isn't big, at least in the Cup Series. Sample size as a driver is huge, and he's really good. So, I've got some ownership. I'm not saying fade SVG. He definitely could easily get out there, lead 40 laps, and win this race. So, but I like to spread it out a little bit. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Kyle Busch is right there with SVG. Also pretty good at road course racing. $9,200, starting 16th. He was 6th in single lap speed, 12th in 5-lap consecutive average. And his, the last 5 races that we're looking at, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 10.8 average finish. Kyle Busch has won in the Xfinity Series here, or was it the trucks? One of the two. He's won at COTA. He finished 2nd in this race last year in the Cup race. If we look at his total body of work, 3 wins on road courses, 18 top 5s, 28 top 10s. Kyle Busch definitely knows how to get around a road course. And his recent speed has been fairly good. The problem is he seems to spin out every race this year. Hopefully he can get that fixed, or at least recently. And he spun out in practice a couple of times. Now, that was trying to find the limits of the car. I get it. But starting 16th, we've got some place differential here, potential with Kyle Busch. We've got somebody who has got a pretty good road course pedigree. So I don't mind the Kyle Busch play, 15-20% ownership there. Ross Chastain, $9,000. Starting sixth, he did win the race here in 2022, and which gave him his first Cup win. Practice speeds were pretty good. Seventh in single lap, 20th in 10-lap consecutive average. He does have that one win in 2022, and his the five races that we're looking at: two top fives, four top tens, five top 20s. 44.8 DraftKings average, 8.6 average finish. Kind of what have you done for me recently? He's been pretty good. Starting at six, I think that Ross definitely has top five potential, at least top 10. So this is definitely somebody that we could easily target as one of our, I don't want to call it dominator, somebody that's going to finish well. Not a ton of place differential potential here starting in six. But as we've seen, all we need him to do is stay in the top 10, maybe even the top five. So kind of keep that in mind. Yay, I have sound. Thanks for letting me know, Lost Prophet. Good morning. It's early. I ended up wrapping up my video or non-audio video last night at like midnight. Yeah, it's an early morning, but I've got my son's baseball tournament is at 9 o'clock this morning, so trying to get another video posted. Appreciate you coming and letting me know that I do have sound. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm sure you probably already hit the subscribe button, Lost Prophet, but hit the like button. I would appreciate it, and thanks for tuning back in. If you happen to just watch me scroll through all my slides last week. Either way, Ross Chastain, I do like the play here. Starting in six, just hold on to that and take us to the bank. AJ Allmendinger, the original road course ringer, $8,800, starting in 14th. AJ's kind of hot or cold at road courses. When he's hot, he's gonna toast everybody. You're the man for doing 2 videos. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, I kind of felt bad after I did it, and I'm still not sure. I had like almost 30 views in that video, and nobody said anything while I was doing the video. But hey, I appreciate you letting me know I have sound this time. I did actually listen on my phone to make sure that I had sound coming through. So, either way, back to AJ Allmendinger, $8,800, starting in 14th. Practice speeds were okay. He raced fairly well in the Xfinity Series, but like I said, AJ's it's hot or cold. It's either he's gonna be in the top 3 and finish in the top 3, or he's gonna struggle a little bit throughout the day. I mean, last year he finished 34th in this race. I mean, if we look at his average finishes, it's 14.8. It's not that every race he goes out and finishes well. I mean, 25% of the time compared to Chase Elliott, 50% of the time, top 5 finishes. So AJ's good. I like the AJ play. We've got some place differential with AJ, but also remember it's either really good or not great for AJ. So, and his practice speeds were okay. The Xfinity race yesterday was okay. So with that being said, I don't mind the play. I could also see a call to fade off of the AJ play. AJ's going to get ownership because it's AJ Allmendinger, the original road course ringer. But Ty Gibbs, next in line here at $8,700, showed great speed. Showed great speed last week at Bristol. Had good speed at Phoenix. Had good speed at Vegas. This kid is not just knocking on the door of a victory. He is literally banging and kicking on the door. It is going to be only a matter of the next few races before this kid gets a win, if it's not today. I think there's a real good possibility he gets the win today. He's got great experience in road courses. He does extremely well in the Xfinity Series. If we look at the 5 races that we're looking at, he's got a 9th place average finish, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s. I mean, the kid is good. Once he gets that first win, It's going to be trouble for the field. And right now the Toyotas are extremely fast. So Ty Gibbs definitely potentially could easily win this race today. I think there are 10 guys that could win this race realistically. There are of course 39 that are in the race, so any of them could actually do it. But um, I don't mind the Ty Gibbs play today. I also don't like the William Byron. I like the front row. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why these guys are starting on the front row. They're good at road courses. You don't get up there by accident. I mean, Corey LaJoy maybe, but and I don't think Corey LaJoy is going to be bad. I just don't like the starting spot. Somebody that's not been consistent. Ty Gibbs, William Byron, these guys, they're consistently running in the top 10. Daniel Suarez, $8,500. Yeah, he's got the victory at Sonoma in 2022. Other than that, his road course, he's not a bad road course racer. Just his average finishes are not great. I mean, the 5 races that we're looking at, he's got a negative zero point 0.7 DraftKings average, a 26.4 average finish. Practice speeds were 24th and 11th on a 5 lap run. Starting in 19th, I don't think I love this play. He's got potential. He's led laps at COTA before. He's kind of like Bubba Wallace. He just has a problem finishing these things out, and you know, so I'm a little bit of a fade on Daniel Suarez. Yeah, there's some place differential here. Yeah, he's got the win in the bank, so he can try some different pitch strategies. I just don't feel real confident about the Daniel Suarez play today. So sorry, amigo. Maybe next week. Denny Hamlin, I mean, kind of the same thing. He's starting in 8th, but his practice speeds were awful. 33rd in single lap speed, 18th in 5 lap consecutive average. And when we look at his average finishes at the 5 races that we're comparing to, a 21st place average finish. Finished 16th in this race last year. I mean, out of 50 starts, he does have 1 win, so he does know how to win on a road course. But 13 top 5s out of 50. I mean, that's not great. And you're starting in the top 10. Denny Hamlin on road courses always seems to figure out a way to screw him up. You know, he's got the win in the bank. You know, they can play around and do some different things, and it's he's made the chase. He's gonna make the playoffs. So I mean, maybe potentially he gets something out of that, but I don't love the Denny Hamlin play. And I've always said with a caveat, after I do my videos, and because I woke up, did not finish up the lineups last night, my usage may increase or decrease. Typically, within about 5%. So, this may drop to 10 or 15%. What did I have for Daniel Suarez? I could even see Daniel Suarez going down to 5 or 10%. So there is a little caveat. This gives you an estimate of what my usage was when I did my preliminary lineups. So I do finalize everything in the afternoon. I also wait to find out if anybody is going to start from the rear. And in a road course like this, could potentially spell disaster. Now, yesterday in the Xfinity race, Kyle Larson had the pole. They ended up making an unapproved adjustment, had to go to the rear, started in the back, drove his way to the front, had an issue with tires, pitted with 6 laps to go, and still won the race. So, but road course racers that are really good road course racers, I don't worry about. Denny Hamlin, I mean, with a 21st place average finish, not bad on road courses, but he's not that. So, I'm going to fade off of the Denny Hamlin play. Michael McDowell. We're kind of getting into the realm of the Fords now, and the Fords struggled. They are not good. Michael McDowell is a pretty good road course racer. Now, his average finishes, as we look at him, are not great. He did get the win at the Indy road course that is not in our 5 races that we're looking at because it's just a different style track, even though they turn right and left. And Michael McDowell's got a 20th place average finish over the 5 races that we're looking at. We look at his total body of work. Yeah, he's got that 1 win at Indy from last year, but other than that, only 2 top 5s. Now, he was in crap equipment probably for the first 25 or 26 of these races. And yes, Front Row Motorsports has been making huge improvements this year and last year than what they were many years ago. So his average finish at 23.4 for all of his races is probably a little bit of a misconception. But if we look at the 5 races, 20th place average finish. And the Fords, like I said, they're struggling. They struggled in practice. Now, maybe they find speed during the race. And, starting 27th, we've got some PD potential here with Michael McDowell. But I I'm gonna probably say that 20-25% usage that I've got on Michael McDowell is probably gonna fall at least to 15 to 20, if maybe even 10 to 15. So I may come a lot off of Michael McDowell. I'm just not happy with what I'm seeing out of the speed from the Fords. And next on our Ford hit list is Chris Buescher, who has a much better average finish on road courses. And even he struggled in practice. 18th in single lap, 24th in 5 lap consecutive average, starting in 20th. 11.2 average finish. Yes, on road courses is great. He finished 8th in this race last year. But there's a new body, there's a new setup that NASCAR mandated. And it is really kind of throwing Ford for some loops. And when we saw, was it last year before last, the Toyotas, when the new changes all happened, the Toyotas went from being super dominant on road courses to being the worst. And this is the kind of the same type of thing that I'm seeing with Fords that I saw with Toyotas when they had their struggle on road courses. Once Toyota figured it out, I mean, look at Toyota now. They're back to being very dominant. But I mean, this being the first road course, I'm not sure there's time for the Fords to make the changes that they need for me to be like, oh yes, we must run them. So this 20 to 25% usage for Chris Buescher probably will come down, to be honest. Really good. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who's consistently in the top 10 on road courses, Chris Buescher is your guy. But I just don't really know at this point. Alex Bowman at $7,700 just missed his qualifying a little bit. He was good in practice, third in single lap, 16th in 5 lap consecutive average. And I will say the 5 lap consecutive average is a little bit tough because you're running with a bunch of different guys out on the track at the same time. And with road courses, if your entry to one corner gets a little bit skewed or messed up because somebody else is there or you're racing behind somebody slower, it slows you down by a second or maybe even 2 seconds. Oh, that's huge. At least when it comes to consecutive lap runs. That's why we look at both the single lap and the 5 lap consecutive average. But either way, Alex Bowman is actually a pretty good little road course racer. He's actually really good here at COTA. They're just tracks that people do much better at, and COTA is definitely one of these for Alex Bowman. So starting 17th, I don't mind the Alex Bowman play. In fact, I might pull some ownership from the last two Fords and move it towards Alex Bowman. I do like the Alex Bowman play. I think we may see some decent things out of Alex this weekend. Ryan Blaney, starting 28th, last year's champion. I mean, he's got a 15.4 average finish, which isn't bad, but driving those Fords, he was 16th in single lap, 8th in 10 lap consecutive average. Yeah, once again, I don't know really what to say about the Fords. I've got 20-25% ownership in Ryan Blaney. I am just really concerned that the Fords just don't have speed this weekend. And until they figure out what's missing in their setup, honestly, I don't know if Ryan Blaney can make it much past 15th. I mean, yeah, sure, there's potential. And is 28th to 15th enough at $7,500? I don't know. I mean, when did we see a past champion, last year's champion, priced at $7,500? I mean, I even think Ryan Blaney might top 3 in points right now, and he's $7,500. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, Joey Logano, 2-time champion, $7,400. But DraftKings knew something. Along with the betting odds, the Fords are way off. at least in the betting markets. And they're way off in practice and qualifying. Joe Logano, $7,400, starting 35th. He's not going to finish 35th. Well, I guess he could. I don't think Joey Logano finishes 35th. Does Joey Logano get the 15th? Maybe. That's 20 laps. I mean, that's a ton of place differential. Then $7,400 to get a past champion. You're getting a Penske car. Austin Cindric actually had pretty good speed. So maybe Joey and Brad can figure out what Austin Cindric has underneath his car and make some changes to get him better. But their practice speeds were not great in his qualifying. Yes, he'd had some issues. There were people that were in front of him that caused him to slow down, da 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 da. So, do I think he's 35th? No. Do I think he gets past 15th? Maybe. So there is a lot of place differential. I don't mind the play on Joey Logano this week with having that much PD upside. Like I said, Austin Cindric, $7,200, starting 11th. Good on practice speeds, 13th in single lap. And Austin Cindric probably is a better road course racer than a lot of people give him credit for. He finished 6th in this race last year. Because of the Fords and their struggles, yeah, Austin Cindric was top of the field for Fords, but I don't know if that stays there. Road courses have a tendency that the guys that run up front stay up front. So maybe Austin Cindric does, but I'm not willing to go out on that limb with the Fords. I think the other Fords figure out what Austin Cindric's got, and I think they probably end up getting past him. I mean, and here's another Ford, Stewart-Haas Racing, starting 32nd for Chase Briscoe, $7,100. Now, Chase Briscoe's not that great on road courses. He's got a 15th place finish, which I think is probably one of his better finishes. He's got 5 top 10s on road courses out of 18 total starts. Does not have any top 5s. But recently, it's been a 26.6 average finish. Stewart-Haas has been running better on the ovals, but I mean, at this point, the Fords are just not showing any speed. Kamui Kobayashi, $7,000, starting 25th, driving a 2311 Toyota. Kamui is extremely good on road courses. He's a previous F1 driver, so of course he's going to be extremely good. Is he really good in a cup car? Maybe. He was 8th in single lap speed, so he had some pretty good speed in practice. This is just a different world than F1. Starting 25th, I mean, I've got some ownership in Kamui. I don't have a ton. And it's rare that these road course experts do well when they come over. SVG is kind of a phenom, but he was pretty much driving almost the same style of car when he came from super speedway or supercars. Is that what they're called in Australia? I can't remember the name of it, but they race pretty much the same car. A little bit different, but Kamui's used to open wheel racing. He's good on road courses, but I'm not sure how much that translates over. Starting 25th, I've got a little bit of ownership because he has nothing to lose but go for wins. So maybe. Brad Keselowski, 6,900, starting 36. I mean, kind of the same boat that Joey and Brad are in. I mean, it's Fords. RFK has shown a little bit better speed recently until we got to a road course, and he was 30th in single lap, 25th in 5 lap. He's got an 18.6 average finish. Finished 35th in this race last year. I don't know what to do about Fords. I mean, it is so tempting when you got past champions starting 35th and 36. It's easy just to be like plug and play, let's go. But I don't know if it's that simple. I'm just having flashbacks to 2022 Toyotas, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., all those guys that were so good on road courses, got a different change in their setup and body style, I mean, it was a whole new car, but they just, I mean, going laps down, were just so bad. So the Brad Keselowski play, I yes, I'm going to have some ownership because there's a ton of place differential here, and that's one of the two factors we have to look at. I mean, I'm not 100% sold that that's the best play this weekend. Um, Now Eric Jones, 38th. I mean, his road course experience is okay. It's not great, but starting 38th. I mean, he's next to last, um, and he's in a Toyota, so there should be some speed there. I don't know what they're missing, and I couldn't find anything or I didn't hear anything. 37th in single lap practice speed. And maybe they had an issue and they're going to get it fixed, and have to start from the rear, even though they're starting from the rear. Um, but yeah, I mean, buyer beware with these guys that are starting this far back. There's issues potentially there, and can they make a run to the mid pack? Maybe. I don't know. All I know is that this has a tendency to be a setup, when we've got this many guys that are starting towards the rear. One of them is going to find their way to the front. Is it Eric Jones? Maybe. Um, Out of everything, I think driving the Toyota is probably the best factor for Eric Jones. Now he's not that great at road course racing, so I don't know. Bubba Wallace starting 10th, and like I said earlier, I just don't trust Bubba Wallace yet on road courses to end up having good finishes. His practice speeds have gotten much better. His qualifying has gotten much better. Even midway through the race has gotten much better. They just have a tendency to fall off towards the end and can't quite figure out how to finish these road courses off. He's gonna figure it out, and it's gonna be one of these races this year that Bubba Wallace ends up finishing top 5 or top 3 on a road course, and everybody's like, "Where'd that come from?" I mean, he's been putting the work in, like Tyler Reddick's been putting the work in, and like, William Byron's been putting in, and Bubba Wallace is gonna get there. I just don't know if this weekend is still the weekend. I need to see something first. And I'm not saying this couldn't be it. This could be it. He was 4th in single lap practice, 10th on qualifying. Then we look at his averages, and they're not great. So I'm not willing to take that chance yet. Noah Gragson, 6,500. His practice speeds were actually fairly good for being in a Ford. And Noah Gragson is actually okay on road courses. I mean, his average finish is 20th. I mean, we are talking about the guy starting dead last on the field. Do I think that out of everybody, all Noah Gragson has to do is literally just wait from attrition? He can't get any worse than his starting spot. Um, but I mean, the same thing could be said for all of these guys. But I think there's potential for Noah. Um, Now, do I think Noah goes out and gets much better than his average finish? Probably not. But that's 19 spots of place differential at 6,500. There's a lot of value there. Austin Dillon starting 21st, 21st place average finish, 22nd overall for 33 total starts. No top 5s ever in his career on a road course, only one top 10. And he has the worst luck known to man for NASCAR right now. I will, this 10 to 15% will probably fall off to 5 to 10. Even though he's driving the Chevy, I mean, when it's bad luck, it's bad luck, and I'm gonna stay away from that. Carson Hocevar, 6,300. He's decent at road courses. Understands all of it. Starting 18th though, I think he's starting too far up. Now Carson has a tendency to finish where he starts. But I don't think 18th is enough at $6,300. If he were 5,200, possibly, but I don't know if finishing where you start is necessarily what I'm looking for out of Carson Hocevar. So I'm gonna pause with Carson Hocevar, kind of like I am with Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace, and until I see more, I'm a little bit of a fade on Carson Hocevar. Todd Gillen, driving a Ford. I I mean, he's decent at road courses. He's not great, not bad. He's lucked his way into a couple of top tens, or yeah, two top tens, one top five out of his total 12 starts. One of them was a major attrition race at Indy Road Course where he just happened to wait for everybody to wreck, and he was one of the last cars standing. Um, and that happens. I'm not sure that happens this weekend, even though we had potentially big pileups at COTA before. Um, Driving the Ford kind of scares me still. Um, Starting 26th, there is some place differential here, but no. John Hunter Nemechek finished third in the Xfinity race yesterday. He's pretty decent at road courses. He was 31st in single lap, 15th in 5-lap practice. We really don't look at his previous road course experiences because he has grown up a lot and changed. And those starts were in 2018 and 2019 or something like that. So, I mean, we're talking 5 years ago plus. And driving in the Toyota will help him a little bit. Starting 22nd at $6,000. Yeah, do I think he gets into a top 10? Maybe. Probably more like a top 15, maybe top 20. And is that enough at 6,000? Maybe, maybe not. Josh Berry, starting 31st, driving a Ford. Practice speeds were 36. We don't have any real experience in the Cup Series. Very technical track. Yeah, I'm a fade on Josh Berry. I may even come down from that 5 to 10%. I may fade off a little bit more, but in starting 31st, there is some place differential potential there. And I mean, at this point, you got to bring some of these guys in that are starting, that are cheaper. If we plan on running Kyle Larson's and William Byron's and Ty Gibbs and those guys. And I would think Justin Haley would be a great pick, other than he's starting 13th and he's in the Ford. So Justin Haley is the second fastest Ford in qualifying. Ooh, okay. I mean, Justin Haley had a good run last week at Bristol. That was a little bit of an anomaly because of the tire wear situation. And Justin Haley's not bad. I mean, got a 21.2 average finish on road courses. He was running really, really well in the colleague car last year at Chicago until SVG ended up beating him. But starting 13th is too far up for me. So, buyer beware on that one. Corey LaJoie, way outkicked your coverage, starting in 5th. I mean, he's not bad. He's got an 18.4 average finish. He's got 4 top 20s. And the problem is he has no top 10s. And starting in 5th, there's just too much room for fall off here. I'm a fade on Corey LaJoie this week. I mean, I hope he goes out and gets a 12th place finish, which would be a huge feather in Corey LaJoie's hat. I'm just not. It's not going to be good for Draftkings, and I don't think Corey LaJoie is a top 5 finisher for this race. So with that, I'm fading on Corey LaJoie. Ryan Preece is another one, kind of like Josh Berry. He's great at road courses. He's not great at road. He's good on short tracks, not great on road courses. Starting 24th, driving a Ford. He was 22nd in practice. He's got an 18.3 average finish. I just don't like the Ryan Preece play. He's just not a road course guy. Kind of like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting in 30th. Now, he's driving a Chevy, so there is some potential here with Ricky Stenhouse. He did finish 7th in this race last year. Okay. 28th in single lap, 17th in 5-lap consecutive average at 5,500. I mean, definitely worth a few shots. But Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is also not typically a great road course racer. Now, Zane Smith, on the other hand, is. And he's driving a Chevy. Good. Practice speeds were But Zane's got 2 wins here at COTA in the Truck Series. So Zane knows how to get around a road course. The question is, can he make that happen? Out of everybody that's starting towards the back of the field, I actually almost like the Zane Smith play the best because he's got 2 wins at COTA. Yes, in the trucks, but still, understanding this track and understanding how to drive this track are as important in any type of car. And Zane Smith has got that experience. So starting 34th, I think I like the Zane Smith play for guys that are starting in the 30s probably as much, if not more, than any of the other guys starting in the 30s. Kaz Grala is actually a really good road course racer, but starting 23rd in the Rick Ware car, I'm just not ready to. That's starting too far up for me. I think this is kind of where Kaz Grala's ceiling is. I mean, sure, we get some attrition. He finishes a little bit better, but I'm not sure he races past 23rd. So, Daniel Hemrick is another decent road course racer. His practice speeds were not good, 38th and 23rd. I mean, he's driving a Kaulig car, Chevy, should be a little bit better. So I don't mind the Daniel Hemrick play. Tying him in with maybe a Zane really opens up the playbook towards the top of the heap. You can easily play a Tyler Reddick, a Ty Gibbs, a Kyle Larson, paired with Daniel Hemrick, Zane Smith, and then maybe a Alex Bowman. I think is probably going to be a decent play. Now, it's probably going to have some decent ownership too. Then we've got just over an hour, and my son's baseball team starts in 20 minutes, and I'm 40 minutes away. So we're going to wrap this up pretty quickly here. Harrison Burton, 5,100, starting 29th. He's just not good on road courses. I just have no interest there. Timmy Hill, starting 37th, was 39th in practice. I don't like the play here. So good luck, Timmy, but yeah, I'm not sure you get much better than that unless we have a huge attrition race. I'm just not willing to take that chance. So guys that I really like: Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, William Byron. Kind of place differential picks. I mean, buyer beware with these Fords. So the Chris Buescher, Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, Brad Kay. Yeah, they look really good as potential place differentials. And if the Fords can figure something out in the middle of the race, yeah, that's going to be a decent play, but just, I don't know. Buyer beware with the Fords. That's all I got to say. Kind of in these value picks, Alex Bowman, I think, is probably a pretty good choice. Beyond that, I mean, Noah starting 39th, you have nowhere to go but up. Maybe run a little bit of Kamui or John Hunter that are starting in the 20s. But as far as, the upfront guys, I mean, the Ross Chastain, Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott, probably all decent plays. Chase Elliott, question mark. But the William Byron, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, yeah, are all probably pretty good plays. And like I said, really kind of starting in the back, the Zane Smith and who did I just say? Zane Smith and Daniel Hemrick. I definitely kind of like those plays. So, thanks for joining in. Sorry about the second go around on this video. I'm glad you tuned in. If you made it to this one, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. But I'm going to wrap it up from here. The next 2 weeks could be potentially a little bit crazy. I am going to still try to do them Saturday evenings, hopefully with sound. Next week is at Richmond, which I live in Richmond, so I'll be going to all of the festivities. But I still plan on doing my videos Saturday night around 10 o'clock. So tune in next week then. And then for Martinsville in 2 weeks, I'd go to Martinsville also because it's in my home state and it's my favorite track. Behind me. And I'll be at my best friend's house. He does have pretty good internet. I will be taking my laptop and I will be trying to do a video Saturday night. But I'm also going to be at my best friend's house. And they just had a casino open up there. Ugh, that could be scary. So with all that being said, Martinsville could be a little bit of an interesting race for me to do my video. We'll see. All right. I appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like, subscribe button. We'll see you next week. Good luck. Make sure you hit for some money and let me know about it. Have a great one. Thanks. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight. Getting the W, so got to be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me.
All right, fire it up. Let's do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are. Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight. Getting the W, so got to be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Hell yeah! Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4, great job, guys.
Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.